Yes, good morning, students. Today we are going to talk about gametogenesis in male individuals, specifically called as spermatogenesis. In a last lecture, we discussed about the male reproductive system in detail. We had a discussion learning of male reproductive system in human. In detail, we talked about it. Today we are going to talk about male gamete formation, the spermatogenesis. As you know, the testes are principal organs, the primary organs in a male reproductive system. They produce sperms. The process is termed as spermatogenesis. The process is identified as spermatogenesis, the process of sperm formation from the spermatogonia. If you recall, in a last lecture, we discussed about the structure of testes. There are seminiferous tubules, each one lined up with two types of cells, Sertoli cells and spermatogonium cells, the male germ cells. It is these spermatogonium cells which ultimately produce spermatozoa, the male gametes. This process is identified as spermatogenesis. The process of sperm formation from the spermatogonia at the puberty. Puberty is the, in the male individuals at the age of 14, plus or minus 1 or 2 years, male becomes reproductively active, starts producing gametes, the sperms, the spermatozoa. That is termed as puberty, reproductive, fertile, achieving the body achieves the reproductive fertility. At that stage, we say body has uh, become reproductively active. So puberty stage arrives at that stage, 14 years plus or minus 1 or 2 years in case of male individual. So in the testes, the immature male germ cells, that is called as spermatogonia, they produce sperms at the puberty, and this is identified as spermatogenesis process. Let's talk about this spermatogenesis in detail. I will explain the process 2 times. Okay, on one side, you have a sequence of stages through which the spermatogonia passes and turns ultimately into what is called as spermatozoa. On the other hand, the cells in a flow chart, and in the third one, they are ploidy, the chromosome number of each category cell at each stage of this spermatogenesis. That has been mentioned. Let us start with the first one, spermatogonia. Singular is spermatogonium, plural is spermatogonia. These are present inside the wall of seminiferous tubules, what is called as germinal epithelium. therein these cells are placed. They multiply or proliferate through mitotic division. The division they employ to increase their number is mitotic division or mitosis. And once their number is increased, in these diploid cells, first of all, their number will be increased. When their number is sufficiently increased, some cells, the diploid spermatogonia, each with 46 chromosomes. Some spermatogonia over here, they will differentiate into what is called as primary mitosis. And out of these, only few will differentiate into what is called as primary spermatocyte, although diploid only, but now it is the one which is ready to enter into the spermatogenesis. Rest of them will remain in a germinal epithelium, so that you never feel shortage of shortage of the spermatogonia. When few of them undergo the process of spermatogenesis, rest of them remain and keep getting added into the germinal epithelium. So germinal epithelium never runs short of spermatogonia. Remember this line. So some of them transform themselves, differentiate themselves into primary spermatocyte. Again, the diploid cells. These primary spermatocytes, they go for meiosis. These primary spermatocytes, they undergo a special division, that is meiosis, meiosis 1. And each one produces 2 haploid secondary spermatocytes. A primary spermatocyte completing the first meiotic division, that's a reduction division, will lead to the formation of 2 equal haploid cells, which are named as secondary spermatocytes, each with 23 chromosomes. If here there were 46 chromosomes, here there were 46 chromosomes, here there are 23 chromosomes. This is the 2n number, this is the 2n number, this is the n number of chromosomes. Further, the secondary spermatocyte, each of them now undergoes meiosis 2, the second round of meiotic division. So the secondary spermatocyte undergoing the second meiotic division produces, each one of them produces 2 spermatids, haploid spermatids. Now there were already 2 secondary spermatocytes, so altogether there will be 4 haploid spermatids over there. So 4 haploid spermatids are formed in this manner. One primary spermatocyte forms 2 secondary spermatocytes through meiosis 1. And these 2 secondary spermatocytes undergoing second meiosis produce altogether 4 spermatids. These spermatids transform themselves into the spermatozoa. Look, certain changes take place in the spermatids. If you look at the spermatid, it's a spherical shaped cell. If you look at the sperm, it's a elongated spindle shaped structure. A spermatid is a non-motile. Spermatozoa is a motile structure. It has a tail. The nucleus of spermatid is round. That of the spermatozoa is elongated. So certain changes take place in this process. The process by which the spermatid will get transformed into a spermatozoa. This is called as spermiogenesis. That particular stage is termed as spermiogenesis. Mind you, the overall process was called as spermatogenesis. Spermiogenesis is just one small step in the process of spermatogenesis. You may say the last step in that process. So this is how each spermatid undergoing differentiation transforms into a spermatozoa. Obviously, they are also haploid, each with 23 chromosomes, just that they are motile and elongated cells, spindle-shaped cells. With the spermiogenesis, when the spermatozoa is formed, you may say that almost spermatogenesis is over. At the end of this, after the spermiogenesis, the sperm's heads, the heads of these sperms, they will get embedded in Sertoli cells. They will get embedded in Sertoli cells. Like if we imagine that there is a germinal epithelium herein, and in this there are specialized cells, what you call as the Sertoli cells, part of this germinal epithelium within this seminiferous tubule. And inside them, you see, this is how the head region of the sperm, the spermatozoa, it will be embedded in the Sertoli cell. This is the Sertoli cell. And this is the head of sperm, the spermatozoa. And this is how it will be embedded into the head of the sperm shall be embedded into the Sertoli cells. Finally, at the end of this process, the sperms will be released from the seminiferous tubule, and that process is called as spermiation. That is termed as spermiation. Just hold on. If you recall, the entire process was termed as spermatogenesis. This particular step is called as spermiogenesis, the one in which a spermatid is transformed into spermatozoa. Then the spermatozoa will embed their head into the Sertoli cell, final stages of providing nutrition to the spermatozoa. When the heads of the spermatozoa remain embedded in the Sertoli cells, they get final nutrients over there, final stages of the nutritional process. And once they are ready to be discharged at that stage over here, the sperms will come out from the seminiferous tubule. They will be released from the seminiferous tubule for the discharge. They are now ready, at least from the testis side. There will be certain additional nourishment and additional changes are going to take place in sperm, but that is when sperms are going to transported via accessory ducts. But whatever the testes role was there, that is accomplished. So testes from their seminiferous tubules release the sperms. This is called as spermiation. This is termed as spermiation. Now please understand, now from seminiferous tubules, obviously they will be heading towards rete testes and subsequently vasa efferentia and towards epididymis. But this final push by which they will leave the seminiferous tubules and come to the rete testes and move forward, that is called as spermiation. That occurs after the spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis is over when sperms are formed. The last stage of that was spermiogenesis also. And then after the sperms got embedded, its head got embedded in the Sertoli cell, it got nutrients, and finally now is released from the seminiferous tubule. This release of the sperm from the seminiferous tubule is termed as spermiation. I would revise the entire topic one more time, and then I will ask questions. That's how we are going to go ahead with the same. So here is the one. The process of spermatogenesis starts at puberty and continues in the body of the male almost for up to the age of 60, 70 years. The sperm production can go on and on. Unlike the female where 45 age where menopause sets in, they stop oogenesis. The male spermatogenesis process is almost continued till the whole life. The process in which the spermatogonia, they will produce the sperms. Since the puberty, it will continue. This is called as spermatogenesis. In this process of spermatogenesis, the diploid spermatogonia, each with 46 chromosomes, it undergoes repetitive mitotic division and will form large number of diploid spermatogonia, each with 46 chromosomes. Some of them transform themselves into a diploid primary spermatocyte. So you may say they get matured into diploid primary spermatocytes, whereas rest of them continue to remain inside the germinal epithelium. So there is never ever a depletion of spermatogonia number in the germinal epithelium. Next to that, each primary spermatocyte, a diploid cell, it completes its first meiotic division, that's called, and this leads to the formation of two equal haploid cells which are called as secondary spermatocytes, each with 23 chromosomes. This one. Now, each secondary spermatocyte completes its second meiotic division. This was the first, this is the second one, and will form haploid. Each secondary spermatocyte will form two haploid spermatids, each with 23 chromosomes. But as there were two secondary spermatocytes, altogether 4 spermatids are formed. Now, each of this spermatid undergoing differentiation process, it will be converted into finally spermatozoa, the sperm, obviously having 23 chromosomes over there. This last stage of this process is termed as spermiogenesis. What is a spermiogenesis? Transformation of a spermatid into the spermatozoa is called spermiogenesis. What do you call the whole process as? So that is termed as spermatogenesis. And finally, what happens to the sperm? So two things. Number one, their heads get embedded into the Sertoli cells to obtain nutrition. And once they are ready, they will be released from the seminiferous tubules, and the process is termed as spermiation. The process is known as spermiation. Have you all understood the same? All aspects. What is spermatogenesis? What is spermiogenesis? And what is spermiation? What is the ploidy of each cell? How many chromosome number? Why not the germinal epithelium undergoes depletion with respect to the spermatogonia cells? If they produce sperms, then are they not get consumed up? Why so? What is the role of Sertoli cell at the last stages, and what is permeation? All these things I have mentioned. Regarding these things, if you have any doubt, you may ask. I give you an opportunity, 10 seconds to raise your hand and ask questions, so that before we revise through question answer, your doubts get cleared up. Let's say that if I say that 100 primary spermatocytes are entering into meiosis, this will finally end up with how many sperm formation? If somebody asks you that 100 primary spermatocytes would enter into the process of spermatogenesis, will end up with how many sperm formation? 400. If somebody asks you that if 10 secondary spermatocytes continue their their activity of spermatogenesis, they will end up with how many sperm formation? If 10 secondary spermatocytes continue further in spermatogenesis, they would end up with formation of those 10 secondary spermatocytes would form how many sperms in future? 20 is the correct answer. The 40 answer was wrong. You see, please understand that one primary spermatocyte makes two secondary spermatocytes, whereas two of them make four. So on each secondary spermatocyte, it's a two spermatid formation responsibility. Please understand this calculation, very important and very easy also. Logically, if you see, nothing, not a big deal at all. 1 to 2 and 2 to 4. अब उसको काउंटिंग में कैसे लेना है, बहुत ही इजी है, आपको अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए। कौन सा प्रोसेस, तो स्पर्मेटोगोनियम से लेके प्राइमरी स्पर्मेटोसाइट में पहले माइटोसिस और दूसरा डिफरेंशिएशन। Spermatogonium to spermatogonium, mitosis, then fuse spermatogonium to primary spermatocyte. If you see, it is differentiation. Then primary spermatocyte to secondary spermatocyte, the meiosis 2, meiosis 1. Then secondary spermatocyte to spermatid, the meiosis 2. Then spermatid to the spermatozoa, again differentiation. So which activity takes place between the given two stages is also an important process that you should understand. I hope it is clear to all. As you are not raising hand, you are not posting any question, is an indicator that you have understood the things. Hopefully. Again, the same. You can see that spermatogonia and the Sertoli cells, and then various stages of spermatogenesis activity, that primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, spermatid, and spermatozoa. For example, if I wish to write down their ploidy, so for this, each one, if I have to write down the ploidy, tell me, first वाले का ploidy क्या लिखूं मैं? Correct. 2n is a correct number. How about Sertoli cell ploidy? Spermatogonium diploid done. Sertoli cell का आप reply दे रहे हो. Again 2n. Harsh and Nandini Shah, wrong. Dia Amin, wrong. Sertoli cells are not gametes, they are somatic cells of the system. 2n number basically, rather diploid cells. Then primary spermatocyte, diploid. Okay, done. Now what about the secondary spermatocyte? Yes, they are gonna be the haploid ones. Then they are spermatids, which are also haploid, and subsequently the spermatozoa are also going to be haploid. If I ask you to work out the sequence correctly, so what shall be the first one? In the process of spermatogenesis, which is the first one? Spermatogonia. Then this spermatogonia they undergo which division? Mitosis. and even undergo differentiation. And then they will form, yes, exactly, primary spermatocytes. Then which division I should write down here? Yes. First meiotic division. And you have what is formed as secondary spermatocytes. Haploid or diploid? Haploid. Now, which division I should write down next? Second meiotic division. That will lead to the formation of how many spermatids if there was a one spermatocyte at this stage? बहरे हो क्या? Primary spermatocyte was single. So here there will be how many spermatids formed? 4. Again, haploid. And they will transform themselves into what? Yeah, the spermatozoa. The haploid spermatozoa. And as a process, if I wish to write down, what process I should write down here? Differentiation or spermiogenesis is correct. Which is called as spermiogenesis. And what is the next, immediately next to that of this spermatozoa formation? What shall happen? Wrong. Permeation is wrong. Devanshi and others are wrong. Krishna correct. Kashish wrong. Jiyashri wrong. Astha wrong. The head of the sperms shall be embedded into the Sertoli cells. And then comes the spermiation, release of the sperms from the seminiferous tubule. That is termed as spermiation process. Well, I tried my best to explain to you the entire process, entire topic in detail. If you have any doubt, question, again, there is an opportunity to raise it and ask. Otherwise, we will consider it to be over, and then we can have a break and then go for the next topic. Yes. Anything to ask? Overall, entire topic for 4 marks. Individually, if you see, it is the process of days. Development of a sperm is a process to be going on in hours to days, depends from which stage you want to understand it. Yeah, so first of all, you have to understand the whole topic as a 4 marks question with the flow chart. The definitions like spermatogenesis, spermiogenesis, and spermiation. Then the sequence of stages, that is spermatogonium and primary spermatocyte and secondary spermatocyte and spermatid and spermatozoa. Next is their ploidy. Next is that the number of cells produced from each one, like from one spermatocyte to spermatogonia, and from those two secondary spermatocyte. So from one primary spermatocyte to secondary spermatocyte, and from two secondary spermatocyte, 4 spermatids. So that counting also should be clear on your side. Break for 5 minutes, and then we resume our work. Yes. So students, our next topic, the hormonal control over spermatogenesis. As I mentioned that at puberty, the process of spermatogenesis starts. So what happens at puberty? So our hypothalamus starts secretion of GnRH. Hypothalamus secretes gonadotropin releasing hormone. This one stimulates anterior pituitary, and that in turn secretes the gonadotropins, LH and FSH. In male, LH is also known as ICSH. It is the one which is going to stimulate the Leydig cells. It's the one which is going to stimulate the Leydig cells, the interstitial cells. As a response to the LH stimulation in the Leydig cells will synthesize and secrete androgens, the male sex hormones, example, testosterone, etc. At puberty, hypothalamus starts secretion of GnRH, that is gonadotropin releasing hormone. This one stimulates your anterior pituitary to release two different hormones, one of them LH and another one FSH. LH secreted by anterior pituitary goes to the testes and stimulates Leydig cells. In response, the Leydig cells will synthesize and secrete androgens. And you know that androgens along with FSH stimulate spermatogenesis. And that's why the androgen binding proteins in the seminiferous tubule secreted by the Sertoli cells, which will accumulate these androgens. And as a consequence of that, the spermatogenesis will be enhanced. On the other hand, another gonadotropin, that is FSH, It also targets testes, but in testes, it will target Sertoli cells. And in response, the Sertoli cells will secrete certain factors. Almost hormone-like factors are secreted by them. And these factors also promote spermatogenesis. The factors from Sertoli cells also promote spermatogenesis. One more function of Sertoli cell. So this is how the hormones are very much involved in the process of spermatogenesis. And additionally, one more thing, if you can understand in this one, that all these things when your spermatogenesis is required. But what if there is no requirement of spermatogenesis at that time? What is released over here from Sertoli cell? That can have a negative impact on FSH secretion. Yes. Inhibin from the Sertoli cell that would stop the secretion of FSH, and subsequently it will stop the spermatogenesis for time being. That is about the hormonal control over this process of spermatogenesis. Tell me, at a puberty, from the hypothalamus, which hormone secretion will take place? Yes, GnRH. Then this hypothalamic GnRH will target which part? Exactly, anti-repituitary. And that is going to secrete which hormones? Yes, FSH and LH. What's the next target of LH? Yes, Leydig cells. In response to that, Leydig cells will secrete what? Yes, synthesis and secretion of androgens. And definitely androgens will have an impact on which one? Spermatogenesis. On the other hand, FSH targets which cells in the testes? Yes, the Sertoli cells, isn't it? And what's their target? To secrete certain factors. Which again, obviously, are also concerned with which activity? Promoting spermatogenesis. So as you could see that overall there is a push towards spermatogenesis in this process. And obviously, if not required, then the same Sertoli cells, their secretion inhibin shall have a negative impact and FSH secretion stops. Process of spermatogenesis is halted for some time. Before we move on to the next topic, I'm asking you, do you have any difficulty in the same? The hormonal control over the spermatogenesis is completed. No doubts in the same? Yes. Then we go to the next. And next is structure of sperm. That's our next topic, the structure of sperm. You see, a mature sperm shall look like this. Just hold on. The mature sperm will look like this. Differentiated into the following parts. A sperm body is differentiated into a head, neck, middle piece, tail. You see, these are the four parts of a typical mature spermatozoa. There is a head region, there is a neck region, there is a middle piece, and then there is a long tail. So the sperm body is differentiated into four parts: head, neck, middle piece, and tail. This entire sperm is surrounded or covered with or enveloped with plasma membrane. Head to tail entirely. The plasma membrane envelops this spermatozoa or sperm, covering it up, enveloping the whole sperm right from head to tail. There is a plasma membrane. And let's talk about the head region. There is an elongated haploid nucleus in the head region. Head region is almost spindle-shaped structure. In this, there is a large elongated nucleus. It is haploid in nature, as you can see. At the anterior end of this nucleus, there is a cap-like structure, which is termed as acrosome. As such, acro का meaning होता है near the tip part or near the tip part. Some is the body which is near the tip of the sperm, that is at the anterior end of the nucleus. This cap-like structure is termed as acrosome. It actually develops from the Golgi body when a spermatid was transforming itself into a spermatozoa. The Golgi body in the spermatid will transform into an acrosome of spermatozoa. It contains an set of enzymes which are going to facilitate penetration of a sperm into the ovum and helpful in fertilization process. The acrosome possesses certain enzymes which will help in fertilization of ovum. They will help the sperm to enter inside the ovum, which will be required for fertilization. Further, the neck region has a set of centrioles, the diplosome. One is towards the nucleus, it's called proximal centriole. Another one is towards the middle piece, it is termed as distal centriole. Proximal centriole and distal centriole, pair of centrioles to be found in neck region. Then comes middle piece. If you see that particularly the distal centriole, from that the exoneme arises. It runs down through the middle piece and passes through the entire tail. So if you see carefully the middle piece around that exoneme, numerous mitochondria are present and their aggregation is termed as Nebenken. That is termed as Nebenken. See carefully. This is the one I'm talking about. An aggregated set of mitochondria wrap around one another and they form the structure which is called as Nebenken. That is termed as Nebenken. So that was about the middle piece. Of course, the mitochondria are there to provide energy. There is a large number of mitochondria presence in the sperm because sperm may require a lot of energy while it is swimming through the medium, particularly when it is inside the female reproductive tract, passing through the vagina and cervix and uterus and oviduct. That journey will require a lot of energy for these motile sperms. That shall be provided by this large number of mitochondria. And finally, the tail. The tail is nothing but it's a flagellum extended from the middle piece. It's the flagellum that is termed as tail. This makes the sperm motile. In a male individual, at the time of termination of coitus, the copulation terminal part, the male gets sexually excited and liberates semen with 2 to 3 ml of semen. It carries approximately, you may say, 200 to 300 million sperms. Human male at the time of ejaculation will discharge 200 to 300 million sperms in that 2 to 3 ml of semen, of which, for the purpose of a normal fertility, 60% of them should have a normal shape and size. What they want to say is that, there are issues related with the male fertility, that male may be producing semen, may have sperms, But in some cases, the sperm count is very low, oligospermia. In some cases, the sperms may be normal in number, but majority of them do have a abnormal shape and size. Those sperms are of no use, ineffective they are. So for effective functioning of these sperms, it should happen that out of this 200 million sperms to 300 million sperms, at least 60% of them should be um, normal with respect to the shape and size of these sperms. Acha, 40% of them should at least be motile. 40% of these sperms produced 200 to 300 million. 40% of them must be motile. That means large number of them may not be fully motile. They may have a tail, but they may not be activated enough to move in the medium. If someone observes the semen inside the microscope, can see that some of these sperms very agile, very actively, uh, vibrating their tail, whereas others remain silent. So at least 40% of the sperm should be actively moving their tail. That shows they are motile. So these are the features for normal fertility conditions in a male individual. Before I start the revision of the same, if you have any question, you may ask. Have any question? No questions. That means we can revise this topic of sperm structure. Typically, the sperm body is divisible into which parts? Can we write all four together? Yep, that's the way. Muhammad Waris there. Head, neck, middle piece, and tail. Which is the envelope of the entire body of sperm? Plasma membrane. Which two structures are present in the head region of the sperm? Absolutely right, acrosome and nucleus. Large elongated nucleus is haploid or diploid or triploid? Yes, it is haploid. And what is the position of acrosome? Anterior end of the sperm, ahead of the nucleus or at the tip of the sperm. Yeah. And an acrosome develops from which organelle? That used to be there in spermatid, which is now transformed into acrosome. Yeah, it's supposed to be the Golgi body. And what is the significance of acrosome? Significance of acrosome? Helps in fertilization of ovum is the correct answer. Yes. In the next region, that is a neck region. What is present? Neck region of sperm possesses what? Say pair of centrioles. Proximal near the nucleus, distal that is away from nucleus. Which is the main structure in the middle piece? The mitochondria. What is the function of mitochondria over here? They provide energy to the sperm for swimming, correct? The aggregate of these mitochondria arranged in a spiral manner, attached with one another around the central axis of the middle piece, is termed as what? Nibenkel. Yeah, correct. Mamadwar is correct. And then comes tail. Tail is nothing but which structure over there? Flagellum. Okay, for normal condition in a male, how many sperms are to be found in 2 to 3 ml of semen ejected in a normal intercourse? Yes, 200 to 300 million is the correct answer. Somebody wrote 200 to 300 per yummy. What is 200, 300? What? Lakhs, millions, billions. Got to specify that. And for a normal fertility, out of this, how much percentage should be with the normal shape and size? Yeah, 60% should be the one. Correct. And how about the motility factor? How much should be the ones motile over there? 40% should be the one. Yes, ma'am, you may stop the recording.